So I watched the new Netflix movie, You People, and here are my thoughts. I have some good things to say, I have some bad things to say. So let me start off with the great things about the movie. The first thing I'd say that I enjoyed about this movie was that it really tapped into the pulse of black culture or black culture and the moment. Um, so it tapped into what is happening right now. It felt a little bit dated with the Black Lives Matter. It sounded more like something that was written in 2020, but knowing that this is still something that we deal with, but you could really feel like they captured the pulse of the moment in American culture. So everything from Black Lives Matter to the whole conversation around like the LGBTQIA plus community. Like I think his sister was, a member of the community. Just that conversation between blacks and Jews, having that, sort of debate who suffered more. And those kind of awkward dynamics around, black people in white spaces and white people in black spaces. So they really captured a lot of those things, I felt, quite accurately. And so for that, I would say that was it's an important thing to see in cinema today. I also enjoyed the flavor of Los Angeles. I love when movies capture LA culture in a very authentic way. I used to live in LA. I've lived in LA multiple times in my life. Last stint was for like 3 years. So like I kind of like really like enjoy that. So I enjoy when Hollywood movies portray Los Angeles. So those are all the great things I have to say about the movie. Now let's get into the meat of it, right? What did I think about the storytelling? And to me, the storytelling was poor. And it was so unfortunate to me because I think this is one of the first Eddie Murphy movies I've watched in his recent stint of like making movies again. And I'm just extremely underwhelmed. And I don't blame him, not at all. In this movie, I blame the writer, Kenya Barris, the guy that's responsible for Blackish, Grownish, and he's a show creator. He's done a lot of stuff. I'm very disappointed. Right. To be fair, I haven't watched Blackish. I haven't watched his shows. I do know he's responsible for some really great content. But to me, I'm just really sort of like, this movie to me was a rush. It was like a rush job. It was like I just felt like poorly executed, poorly written, not funny. That's the part that really bothered me, because the only funny part of this I felt was like the first two scenes, and those first two scenes didn't even have Eddie Murphy in it. So it was kind of like you dragged one of the greatest comedians of all time into this movie and you made him under deliver. That to me was just so overwhelmingly unfortunate. And the fact that they had such a star-studded cast with Jonah Hill, with Eddie Murphy, I can't even say, she was in Veep in HBO. I can't remember what her name is. Nia Long. This is like a star-studded cast. You would expect for it to give that punch, for it to give that incredible storytelling. All the ingredients were in place, but in terms of the storytelling, in terms of the writing, in terms of the character development, in terms of the comedy, it all tanked in my view. Even this guy from X-Files, can't even remember his name. So that to me was just so unfortunate, because there's so much that they could have done with this movie to make it extremely entertaining, to make it extremely engaging, to make it so funny, but they just under-delivered and failed at that. And even in like, I understand those moments that they had with like very relatable things around Black Lives Matter, around, racism, like reverse racism with the dad being racist to him. They had all those moments, but they were kind of like, there are ways that you can do it that it's more entertaining and more impactful. And the way they did it was like a cheesy, maybe it's because the writer writes for television, but like it was kind of felt like a cheesy episode of like I don't know, Sister or something. It just felt like very watered down, not strong enough for a movie. Like, okay for a TV episode in a sitcom, but just not something that you want out of a movie. And maybe that's what it really was. Maybe because he's a TV writer and not a cinematic writer, but I just felt as though it could have been a lot more engaging in those moments. So these were the main things that really bothered me. And the fact that you got Eddie Murphy out of retirement. Yeah, he's been out of retirement for the past few years, but you got him out of retirement to do this role, and this is what you delivered. It's so disappointing to me because they're going to be some Gen Z people that will watch this and think, oh, Eddie Murphy is not as funny as Kevin Hart, just because they watched this. Like, this to me was just so unfortunate. There's some people that will watch this and just Nia Long did not shine. And that's one thing I have to say. None of the actors shone in this movie. None of them were able to shine. Jonah Hill a little bit, but he was like working with what he had, and the material was just not strong. But out of all of that, right, the thing that bothered me the most, more than any other thing in this movie, was our good girl, Lauren London. Like, to me, we know that she's not the most, how do I put this? She's not the most seasoned actress. I'll put it that way. And I'm not coming for her because I understand why they put her in this role. They were trying to capture that Los Angeles culture, the Black LA culture. And who better to capture that than Nipsey Hussle, right? So it felt as though they were throwing her a bone, because I think after Nipsey Hussle's death, and may his soul rest in peace, after his death, I felt she kind of became the darling of Black Hollywood, you know, and it just felt as though Kenya Barris was trying to throw her a bone and give her a role because we haven't seen her. You know, I last time I saw her in a movie was probably Atlanta, and maybe in a few other things, but she's not really getting roles like that. And so, and my thing is, there's a reason for that. And I don't say that to sound mean, but there's a reason for that. I don't think she's the most seasoned actor, and I don't think she was the right person for this role. I don't think she was strong enough to embody this role. And I'm going to tell you some people that I think that would have done a better job. But because of this, so it's the two things, right? She didn't carry the role, the supporting act. She didn't carry it, not to the level of Jonah Hill. And then the writing material was also bland. So it was kind of this, you know, amalgamation of just like blandness and mediocrity. And her character was the crux of the story. Another part that I really found annoying was the actual fact that this story was about their love story. It's one thing if we met them and they were already in love, and we just kind of met them along the way and said, okay, well, this is these two white people, they're in love. And that's what they should have done. I feel like they should have just started there, because they didn't have to explain how they fell in love. But because we start the story off, they don't know each other, they meet each other. And that's how they fall in love, as they meet each other. The way that their love story unfolded was very mediocre and did not really show us anything or make their coupling believable. It just was not believable. And the reason why is the specific moments when they went on those first dates and they connected. Did you notice how we didn't get any dialogue for most of it? He just kind of skimmed through it, right? And that's just kind of lazy storytelling, lazy screenwriting. He just skimmed through it, didn't show us how they connect with each other through dialogue, didn't give us any of that, just kind of said, oh, well, we're just going to skip through this part so we don't have to do the hard work because it would have taken time. If they did the hard work and they did it right, I mean, it would have taken time to write the script properly, you know? It takes time to write good scripts. And so they just did it. I just felt as though it was rushed, it was half-assed, and they weren't really trying, or the writer wasn't really trying to just like do the work to get us to really love them. And the reason why this bothers me is because their love story kind of reminds me of Crazy Stupid Love. And this is an example of a movie where you see a love story unfold. You see how they get to know each other. You see the dialogue in them falling in love. And not only is it strong writing, is it believable, it's romantic, it's engaging, and it's comedic. That's when a writer really takes the effort to tell us the story about how these people fall in love and show us their chemistry on screen, you know, and all of that. And I just felt as though in this story, this was lacked. And so that was the crux of the story. They didn't deliver on that. And so everything else kind of tumbled down from there, because I just wasn't convinced that they were in love. I just wasn't convinced that this kind of woman would date this kind of man. It just wasn't believable to me. And so what would my solution have been, right? If I was Kenya Barris, what would I have done? I would, you know, I am a filmmaker. So I'm just going to tell you what I would have done as a filmmaker. I would have gotten a different lead other than Lauren London. And I understand, and Issa Rae is not the only one. I have a bunch of other people. And I understand that why they put her in that position, but I felt like there were better people that could have done the job. So Issa Rae is an example of one person I feel would have done the job better. And the thing about Issa Rae is, she might be overexposed in this role a little bit because, you know, we saw her do that sort of Black LA thing in Insecure, and she kind of owns that. And also, you know, Issa Rae is an executive in Hollywood on the same kind of pedigree as Kenya Barris. So him hiring her for a job might be a little bit, I don't know how that dynamic would work. But either way, I still feel like Issa would have killed that role, and she would have brought to it body. And I don't even think it takes like being an Oscar-worthy actress to be able to do this. You know, I don't think it takes that. I just think that it takes believability and embodiment of a role. And I think Issa Rae, at the very least, can deliver on that. And that's not what I thought. I didn't think that Lauren London could. Another person is Janelle Monáe. One thing about her is that I feel like she's such an underdog, and nobody kind of gives her flowers, and she's just been shining. And I think with this new movie that she did, this Netflix movie, the Onion Glass movie, I felt as though there's a lot more attention on her now. And I just think she's somebody else. They're all around the same age. She's somebody else. I feel like who would have embodied that role, would have played the part, would have had would have required the writer to go deeper with the character and sort of brought us a real fleshed out character, which that's one of the reasons why I felt Lauren didn't really do that. Another person I would have gone with is the girl in Atlanta. Her name is Zizi or Zazu. What's her name? Yeah. Her name is Zazu Beats. I think I'm pronouncing it right. We all love her in Atlanta. If you guys watch Atlanta, you probably love her. She's done a lot of other stuff too, and she's just really loved. And she has that sort of like quirky kind of like, you know, grungy kind of look that it would be believable that she would date Jonah Hill's character, right? So she's another great one I felt as though would have been good. Now, another one I feel would have been Jessica Williams. I think she is such an underrated, overlooked underdog. She's stunning. She's a great actress, and she would have embodied that role. You know, she would have embodied that role to a different level, and really brought the character. She's actually my favorite. This is actually the person I would have loved to see in this role. And also because I feel like a role like this would have launched her career. And that's what I think is really unfortunate with them handing this role to Lauren London, because it's not going to help her career because she didn't deliver in it. It might help her. She might get a few odd jobs here and there, but just because I just don't think that she has the acting ability. And I'm sure, like, I'm not trying to come for her, not trying to diss her. I think there are other things that she's probably great at. I just don't think that acting is one of them. So I just feel as though they should have given it to somebody that would have not only embodied the role, but it would have put them really on the map. Like Jessica, I just feel like Jessica Williams, they haven't put her on the map yet, and she deserves to be on the map. She's done some Netflix originals. She was on The Daily Show. She's done a lot of stuff. I just feel like she needs that role that's gonna really put her on the map in the Issa Rae kind of thing, or in the Issa Rae kind of level, and this would have done that for her, and she would have killed this role. That's the thing. She would have murdered this role. Keke Palmer, we know she's boisterous, she's loud, she's electric, and she would have had a great dynamic with Jonah Hill, especially comedic dynamic with Jonah Hill and Eddie Murphy. That combination would have just been so entertaining to watch. Same as Jessica Williams. I think that's what was lacking with Lauren London. And a lot of comedy is about improvising, like improvising. And I just feel as though these guys would have been able to do that. But I don't feel like that's what Lauren that's her sphere. That's the area that she's like most comfortable in. And so for me, that's why it kind of sucked. So here's the thing, right? Before I even get into this, because you guys gonna be like, what? So I think when it comes down to Jonah Hill, that's how I would have like done it if Jonah Hill remains as the lead, right? But if we're gonna change up the lead, the male lead, I believe there are other women in Hollywood, or black female actresses in this age group under 40, that would have delivered very well in this role, and in the branding and the packaging of the movie, they would have done an exceptional job, just with a different co-star. So not Jonah Hill, but let's say another actor, white male actor, probably more of a heartthrob. And so what I would say is an actress I would put there, of course, is Miss Zoe Kravitz. What's going on here? Here we go. Yeah, Zoe Kravitz. She's really great. But who would be her co-star? Who would be her co-star? I'm going to get to that. Before I get to that, another actress I think in this really hot, really sexy kind of actress in the same kind of realm as Zoe Kravitz that would have killed at this role is our good girl, Megan Good. She too would have been great. But both of them would require a more attractive or a more traditionally appeasing sort of actor as their co-star, as a lead. And who would that be in 2023? To me, it would be James Franco. James Franco, he would have been great. You know, he's of that same age as Jonah Hill, just maybe a few years older. Another one, Pete Davidson. He's a little bit younger than them, but I think he's kind of stepping into that role, that comedy role, acting role. And he's attractive. He gets all the hot chicks already, so it's believable that he would be with these women. And then, of course, Channing Tatum. He would have been great. So that's kind of what I would have done. I would have changed up the casting a lot. I would have spent more time on the character development, in the story, on the writing, and the comedy. And I'm just really disappointed because I was really excited to watch this movie. I really felt as though it just kind of appeared to be like a great story, and all those things were in place for it to be strong, but they didn't have the right casting. They didn't have the right actors. They had the right casting. Screw that. They had the right casting apart from Lauren London, unfortunately. But they didn't have the right pieces together to just like give us a home run. And so because of that, to me, it's not great because, yeah, sure, the story touches on very important issues in the Black community, but because of the poor execution of the story, I felt as though like it's going to be overlooked. Some of these Black issues are going to be overlooked. And I feel like this should have been the time. You're telling such an important story for the Black community and for people that are suffering from inequality. This is the time to tell a great story. This is a time to have spent to really flesh out these characters, flesh out the comedy, flesh out the character development, all of that, and really hit a home run with this. And I feel like Netflix, I'm really disappointed in Netflix too, because this is giving Netflix pre-2021. In like 2021, they kind of changed their strategy and they just started shooting for the stars and really delivering high quality stuff, you know, on the level of like, almost on the level of HBO. But this is kind of taking them back to their pre-2021 era. And to me, it was clear that they were just trying to get something done in a deadline and just do it fast. and they said, okay, this will get people's attention, let's do this. But I just think it's so unfortunate because Netflix could have really said, no, take the time, let's do this like the best, let's do this not just right, let's just hit a home run with this. And it could have done so much better. And the last thing that's upsetting to me with Kenya Barris is that this is the excuse that Hollywood uses to say that Black writer directors are not strong. This is the excuse. Because think about it. If this story was a Woody Allen film or another sort of like patronized white writer director, they would have gone through the whole process to do it properly. They wouldn't sort of like rush it. And I feel as though because so few Black people are given the opportunities, the ones that are given the opportunities have so much on their plate. They want to get out, 10 series, 10 movies, 10 this within a short period of time. They're not spending the time it takes to actually develop these stories to their full ability. And so because of this, the true talent in Hollywood that is Black is not being showcased. And to me, it's just so unfortunate because I want to see more greater stories, more fleshed out stories coming out of Black Hollywood. We've seen it so many times, but it should be the bare minimum because this kind of story, there is no excuse for this subpar writing. To me, there is just absolutely no excuse. To me, this is like he was trying to write an episode in one of his shows and he just rushed it. This is not acceptable in 2023. We have to step up the game. We have to empower more Black writers to be able to actually execute. So you're not going to the same 5 people and they're doing rush jobs just so, no, we have to do better. And there are amazing Black writers in Hollywood. There are amazing Black directors in Hollywood. I'm one of them. Go check out my movie, A Second Husband, A Woman with Two Husbands. It's on my other channel. I'll put the link down below. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts. Leave a comment down below. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, all the above. And before I go, I have to tell you about this new app that I have developed. I have a new app. It's called Ray the AI. And it's an AI tool that kind of works like ChatGPT, but it's like ChatGPT on the go. So you can access it at Ray the AI, RAE the AI on Instagram. And you can just start DMing her on Instagram and she'll write essays for you. She'll write emails for you. She'll write stuff for you. Instagram kind of has a shorter, you can only have so many characters on Instagram, but you can reach her also on WhatsApp. She's on WhatsApp, so you can get longer essays if you want longer essays or longer emails written out for you. She can give you strategies. She can give you breakdowns. She's just your on-the-go writing assistant. Or you can go on the website, raytheai.com, RAETHEAI.com. And on there, you can use Ray Messenger on the website. And of course, she can write way longer text for you. Anyway, go check it out, Ray the AI, my new app. Let me know your thoughts on this movie. Leave a comment down below. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, all the above. My name is Kenim and you're watching Brand Video Pro, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.